Hello, everyone. You know what? Let's just make sure we're alive here. How are we doing? Great. This is Quincy from the Africans here to preview following a national team. There's many national teams, in case you were wondering. But the celebration tour continues for Bev Priestman and the women's national team, XNT. Proud of you guys of the gold medal, but the tour continues in Vancouver on April the 8th and the 11th with two matchups against Nigeria. Uh, um, see that inside of me says, well, at least they get to play champion. I won't make any jokes about the men's not making. This is about the ladies. So let's focus in. So the roster for these two friendlies has dropped, and it's a big roster. 29 players have been selected by Bev Priestman, and we're here to talk about it, see a few things that have stood out to us about the roster and its makeup. If you're new here, we cover primarily Canadian content as well as a little bit of an African content, so this is probably feeling good. Today, we're going to focus primarily on the Canadian squad and players that we're interested to see what they can do and what we can kind of glean from the roster overall. If you like this type of content, don't forget to give us a like, a subscribe, and let us know what player in the comments you're excited to see playing with the national setup during this celebration tour. I hope we get to see the gold number jerseys because those were very nice. I'd like to get myself a pair, but let's go down to this. Now, if you followed me before, you know I've done some content before in podcast form, and I've worked with two lovely ladies who've helped me get a lot done. So I'm going to want to shout these ladies out. Erin from Keep Ups with the Canadian Women's Soccer. She will also be doing a breakdown of the roster coming out sometime. So please be on the lookout for that. And AC Lang from WSoccer.ca. Honestly, one of the best resources for following women's soccer, Canadian specifically, playing in North America as well as in Europe and overseas, has a database as well as a ranking system. If you haven't gone to them yet, guys, please give these two a shout, give them some love. They provide a lot of content. They've been great guidance for me kind of following the squad. But let's start going through the squad that's been mentioned. So as we are currently situated, this is the squad that Bev Priestman has selected. We have, and my name placement is blocking one of them, so this is working out great. In goal, we have Sabrina D'Angelo, Stephanie Labbé, Erin McLeod, and Kylie Sheridan. We have Kadisha Buchanan, Vanessa Gilles, Shalina Zadarsky, Zoe Burns, Gabrielle Carl, and I'm going to change this format so I can read the last four names. All right, changing so my face isn't so there. There we go. Better format for everyone. We did this live. What can we do? Ashley Lawrence, Jade Riviere, Surayaka, Marie-Yasmine Alidou, Danjou, Jesse Fleming, Julia Grosso, Victoria Pickett, Quinn, Sophie Schmidt, Desiree Scott, Sarah Stratigakis, Janine Becky, Jordan Heidema, Chloe Lacasse, Adrienne Leon, Nichelle Prince, Deanne Rose, Christine Sinclair, and Evelyn Viennes. So, because this is the celebration of the gold medal, the entire roster is back from there. But we have some interesting names that have been brought up. And those names, which are new, which weren't part, are Marie-Yasmine Alidou, who, if you were paying attention, was part of the squad for the Arnold Clark Cup, which actually me and the ladies here did a recap on podcast form. So if you want to go check our podcast, the Africans podcast, you can definitely listen to a preview and a post breakdown for that. Sabrina D'Angelo, who was also there, Chloe Lacasse, who had a few friendlies and has been with the team since the end of last year, playing a couple matchups against Mexico, and then also being with the team for the Arnold Clark Cup. Victoria Pickett, Sarah Stratigakis, I know Aaron's excited to see her, Surayeka, and the only interesting name, well, not even only interesting, the only name from the U20s, Zoe Burns, the speedy left back, definitely earning a shot here, which surprised. Maybe we're seeing a Karpenko come through, maybe Olivia Smith or Maya, the striker there, but only Zoe Burns, which, man, that is an interesting choice, but it does tell us a few things. I think the first thing that I think about looking at the squad is that the national program on Layside is deep. If a U20 is only maybe able to graduate one person immediately, that doesn't mean that the rest won't make it, but it speaks to the depth of the program that we have. So that's exciting to know, especially as they start gearing up for World Cup qualifiers starting in the summer for them. So they are playing Nigeria, who are one of the top teams in Africa. So it'll be a good, interesting test for the squad. But if we look at the squad and we look at the breakdown, there's a couple things I find interesting. The first being they're only carrying three center backs: Kadisha Buchanan, Vanessa Gilles, and Shalina Zadorsky. Sorry, tongue twister today. Which is interesting, which might signify a few things. I mean, you would assume with a lineup like that, you're probably playing four at the back, more than likely. But then in terms of substitutions, you could move some players around. But I think this to look at a player like Sophie Schmidt and especially Quinn or even Desiree Scott. I think those three players could be potential players that we could see Bev maybe experimenting with them as center backs, depending on how they want to play, how forward, how direct they want to play within their football. But those are three players I think Desiree, especially as a destroyer type on the midfield, could transition well as a center back and maybe provide a little bit more depth with this squad here. But yeah, so that's a couple things I've looked at. Other thing, the amount of fullbacks really does tell me there is a lot going to be going forward. Gabrielle Carl being back with the team, but Zoe Burns, that young at the U20s, actually did a few watch alongs. So with IMAX and football, we're just watching everything and going. And Zoe Burns is one of our standout players on the squad. I think IMAX of Jamaican descent was asking me, is that all we do? We just create fullbacks? Apparently we just make fullbacks in Canada. But no, Zoe Burns on the squad is great and will add a little bit of speed there, especially as we don't have the full cupboard, so to speak, of center back. So maybe taking a little bit of pressure and pushing up on the pace. Gabrielle Carl, Lisa Chapman. It's nice to see Surayeka back with the squad as well. Jade has had a good time. I think the Arnold Clark Cup, there was a lot of rave reviews on how she played. And even having Alicia Chapman play there will be exciting to see. Ashley Lawrence, what else can you say about her? Honestly, one of the best players who can play multiple positions, midfielder, fullback, one of the best players right now in Canada. In the midfield, we already mentioned the three that we thought could have a cup of tea at center back. But seeing Marie-Yasmine Alidou back in the squad, that's actually a good sign for her, I think. Bev was talking about some of the trains where she didn't feel like she didn't belong. And that's good to see players coming in. It's an interesting program where you have players who are breaking into the squad instead of at youth. It's so old. Not that they're old players, but getting their opportunity now. And sometimes you wish we have more opportunities for them. Shout out to making a domestic league for the ladies and maybe an under 23 team for them as well. But Fleming, Grosso, Pickett, all good names, I think. And Strategakis is an interesting name. I think she definitely does have an opportunity to maybe play out and get some reps at that cam position and maybe battle out with Julia Grosso, which would be interesting. Jessie Fleming, we don't have to say much about her. We're expecting probably a full win over her. The way she tracked, if you haven't had a chance to watch the Arnold Clark Cup games, Fleming was everywhere, and her form is her form. She's an unbelievable player for what she's been able to do. So I'm interested to see that defensive pairing and that mainly then Fleming playing that box-to-box type role and seeing what you can create. In goal, we'll leave that to last because it's really there to celebrate one particular person. But I think when we get to the forwards, and this is where my question comes for Bev, the system that they play, I think works well with forwards, wingers, and strikers who are a little bit more mobile. And I think a player like Chloe Lacasse can fit that well. That's how Christine Sinclair plays. She can drop down and also attack in the middle, leaving what you would assume in a 4-3-3, the wingers to become the two strikers and then have to, be aware of where they are, using their pace to move forward and having that center forward, but dropping more in the 10 coming forward. I think that has worked well. And I think that's actually a role where I think for me, I've seen Jordan Heidema maybe not at her best. I think she's better as an out and out 9 in the box, just looking for some set piece headers, aspects of that aspect coming through. So I think seeing the rotation, especially in the striker and pool, will be interesting. Janine Becky had a good run at the Arnold Clark Cup. Excited to see what you can do here. It's good to see Vienne and Leon back. I'm really excited to see what they're able to bring to the squad as well with Deanne Rose and Nichelle Prince, who are good players. I like Rose having a good season at Reading. And Michelle, I love the pace that they both bring. I'm looking forward to see how that really matches up with another forward or striker there, whether that be Sinclair or maybe a player like Vienne, Rose. I said Rose already. Vienne, Lacasse, specifically her to come through. So I'm curious to see how that breaks down, how that attacking trident moves forward with those players, especially with the attacking midfield with both. I'm curious to see Ali Do play as well as Fleming in that midfield with either Grosso or Strategakis coming through. But then we're here to celebrate really two players for the celebration tour, as well as the players have played. We're here to celebrate Stephanie Labbé and her amazing career. More than likely, she will get a start and be subbed off so she can get the ovation that she does deserve. Truly, most truly deserve for that aspect. But the other goalkeeping battles has been interesting. We saw D'Angelo get some minutes at the end of the. I was about to say She Believes Cup, but at the end of the Arnold Clark Cup, I'm wondering if between Aaron McLeod and Kylie Sheridan, who can maybe wrestle out. There are opportunities there. Labbé, we're celebrating her. We're also celebrating Christine Sinclair and her amazing career that she's had. But in goal, can D'Angelo do enough to maybe get that second spot or maybe even challenge Aaron McLeod, who I think might be in line to take it? I could be wrong. You guys let me know how you are seeing the squad breakdown. But yes, they have two matches on the 8th of April as well as the 11th. One at BC Place, the other one in Victoria. So we are excited. We'll be trying to get, if we can find the game, we might do a watch long for it. However, we're going to be definitely following through and we'll be creating some content as we go through. But you guys let me know in the comments which players here are you excited to see? Which players do you think have a lot to gain here? For me, I want to look at Sarah Strategakis and see what she can do, but also it's nice to see Evelyn Vienne and Adriana Leon back in the squad. So that trio of players will be interesting for me to watch over. The wild card for me will be Zoe Burns. Does she get any play? Definitely a speedy, pushing fullback who did that all throughout the U20s, and she'll definitely be given the green light to do so as well. So those would be my four. But you guys let me know in the comments, who are you excited for in this squad? Is there someone you think who should have been made in it? If not, let me know. Again, if you like this content, give us a like and subscribe. This is Quessy from the Africans, a little African, a little Canadian. But hey, here to give you some great content on Canada soccer and soccer overall. Thank you guys again. And until we speak again, bye bye for now.